when COVID kicked in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to decide, have we started? Oh, no.
Have we? Yeah, we're on. Yeah, carry on. That's a good story.
Okay. No, so I ended up here because I was in...
Sorry.
Which side?
There you go.
That side.
That one?
Sorry.
That's good.
I just thought you'd be
Cameras on
get
Leo.
it done now than
There
later.
you go.
Oh, no.
What a special
Yeah,
day.
use your phone.
Yeah. Or if you like to use the toilet
No,
while I
I
talk
can just
about
do this really
the...
quick.
Can you pass me the magazine over there?
Yeah.
Because I wanna tell our beautiful readers and listeners about Coromines. So if you are coming to the Coromando or if you live here, you will find the beautiful Coromine magazine, our community magazine, that it's coming to issue 15. Look at this. Look how cool. And we always feature local artists and local stories. So if you live in the Coromando and you would like to share something, hit us up, because that's what makes the magazine thrive. Hello at Coromine.nz. Elvisa has written for us
In the past,
gonna
yes.
run
in the past.
Yeah.
Do you remember that was the pregnancy one, right?
Yeah. I wrote that after I'd had my first child, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've changed since I wrote that.
So
it
we
was
need
like,
another piece from you.
Yeah. I should do a follow-up piece, about my
It
second
was
birth.
such a popular one. So many people related to it. I guess that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's live, baby. It's on.
Back.
So we'll talk
Hi.
about that. We'll bring you back to the magazine.
I,
Rachel, what's the degree that you are?
Oh, I'm doing
Doing
a
now.
degree at Vic in Wellington. I'm doing English literature, theatre and creative writing.
Oh, wow.
I did a media studies degree at Vic.
Did you?
Yeah.
Vic's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
I loved
amazing.
it. Those were my favorite. Really good. It's a great student city to
It
study
is.
in. Yeah, sorry, I'm a mum, so my brain doesn't work.
I mean, I tell you something though. I have found being a mature student as probably more terrifying, and it has been a more anxiety-inducing process than like having knives thrown at you. 100%. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's been one of the most rewarding.
Yeah.
You know?
You'd probably be getting some of the best marks though, in the classes as well.
I am when I actually, when I actually like knuckle down. Yeah, I've been doing really well, but it's just crazy because I went to uni when I was really young, and then I dropped out because I just discovered like drugs. It may or may not have been like the late 90s, and there was
So that was in London.
I was at uni in a place called Norwich, which is in the UK. And I was doing creative writing there, and on a very prestigious degree that was really hard to get onto, and I got on it. And then I just discovered like ecstasy and
Distractions.
and going to the goth clubs, and I didn't do any work for like 2 years, and then they kicked me out.
They're like, do you still study here?
It was pretty insane. So this is also part of my redemption arc. Was like when I came to New Zealand in 2020. I got a therapist because I was having I was in some dark days, and she said to me, "You should," because I told her about my past, and she said, "Oh, you should go to Vic and study creative writing because they have the Institute of Modern Letters at Vic, which is a really good creative writing school." And I did, and I'm doing some papers there at the moment. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So it feels very nice to me. It feels like what I'm doing, what I should have done, had all this other crazy stuff not got in the way. But the crazy stuff was good too.
Well, every time that I see work like the one that you do with performance and the circus thing, and it always takes me to the fantasy world, the things that we have in our brains, but sometimes we're not brave enough to share to other people, like those things that we dream about, and we don't even know how to go about them.
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
have beautiful professionals like you that come with these dances and performances. So I actually wanted to take it back. Like, was it something that was part of your childhood to like have storytelling at your home, or like your parents would take you to cool places that you were watching performances? How did that come about to you?
I mean, I don't know. So something that's quite interesting is I actually have something called dyspraxia, which is like, it's a physical thing that it affects your coordination and your mobility. Not mobility, but it's like coordination. So kids with dyspraxia often have trouble dancing, have trouble running, so ever since I was a little kid, people were always like, you walk funny, you dance funny. And I didn't find out I had this till like last year. So I've always people were always just like, you're a bit weird. So actually I didn't do any beautiful performances. It was, as a child, I was very, bad at anything involving movement. I still am. I'm very clumsy. And what's funny is I was thinking quite recently, like, everyone's like, why did you become a sword swallower of all the things? And it's like, I can't dance. I couldn't be like a burlesque performer or something. I can't dance. But so I chose this really crazy hard thing because I was like, well, this is something that, I can do it,
How did you find out you could do it? Let's see if I can swallow the sword.
So you don't, you have to teach yourself. Like it's not, it doesn't just happen. But I mean, I was in, my friend, one of my best friends, Go Amy, she has a show called the Pretty Things Vaudeville show in America. And I basically ran away with them it was in, I think 2010. I was in New York and I met up with them and just like got in the van and went on tour with them and was just like helping them out on stage and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to do this, I really want to be a part of this kind of world. And that was like they had fire breathers and sword swallowers and a little person actually in that show and, all this crazy stuff. And I was like, I want to do this. I picked a really hard thing.
Because fire breathing is not internal. There's nothing internal. It's mostly spitting.
Do you want to know something really weird? I'm terrified of fire.
Well, that's why you're not doing that.
Yeah. No, I've got absolutely I could swallow a sword, but
I was going to say.
But I would not put fire anywhere in my face. No way. No, it's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, we have to go there. We have to talk about that at the start so we know where we're going with this. So the technique is, from what I could see you doing and other people, like there's always the thing with looking up, right? Making sure that it's
straight.
It's going straight down. And then like, how is the process like to get better at it? Do you start like with smaller things, or there's like a thing with the gag, like where you're not avoiding, or there's a breathing technique involved?
I mean, basically I spoke to my doctor about it once because I was just like, is this okay? And he said, well, if you put your head back and your throat is in a straight line, it kind of lines up with your esophagus, and it's the same and he was like, I guess it's just the same as, if they put like a camera down there.
Yeah.
He was like, it's the same kind of thing, but you basically have two, I think that actually name for them is sphincters. I think they are sphincters. You have one like here and you have one about here. And so it's just learning to like, you can't push anything or force anything because you can really hurt yourself. But it's like learning to like relax your sphincters internally.
It's funny how you just automatically think of buttholes.
Completely.
But it's the mechanism, eh? Like
But it's
like
the same.
valve.
Because funnily enough, in your butthole, you also have two sphincters. You have the one on the outside and there is one further up.
Did you ever try?
Does this sword always go down?
But it's a similar process.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But because you can control them in your throat, like you said you relax them. And stuff,
so for me, like as soon as the tip of the sword like touches it, I can kind of just make it open.
Okay.
But it took quite a long time to get to that point.
I guess because you were just talking before about your dyspraxia. Swallowing swords is very controlled and like conscious. Like you have to have conscious controlled movements and be conscious of like, the process that you're performing. Whereas like dancing and stuff is fast, sort of like you kind of have to have a natural rhythm sometimes.
I don't need rhythm to be a sword swallower.
Yeah, exactly.
I just need to be brave.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm brave, I just don't have any rhythm.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to say, because on the promo for the show, you said that I am the only sword swallower in New Zealand. So I'm just going to give a disclaimer. I am the only active one that I know of.
There you go.
So I circulate in a lot of like circus type circles, and no one else knows of anyone else. I think there is a man somewhere here up north who used to sword swallow who doesn't anymore. and there is a person in Wellington who doesn't anymore.
Lost his head.
there's been some accidents, I tell you, but so in the new show I'm in, we keep saying like she's the only sword swallower in the country, and expecting someone to be like, well, no, but no one has yet. But if anyone is watching this who knows of someone, get in touch. But I need proof.
There you go. You gotta show us, baby. Yeah. We only accept video answers. No, I can do it. Yeah. What was the learning process? Like, did you have someone guiding you through, or you were just like reading and
I know you basically can only really learn from someone else telling you how to do it. And I had a friend of mine who was a sword swallower called Brianna, who she kind of gave me some insights, and then it's just about you doing it yourself. But I don't want to talk about that too much on here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, no, just because it can be quite dangerous, and I don't want to be responsible for someone,
of course, 100%.
someone tonight to be like, this is my moment.
So let's talk.
It sounds so easy.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about if there were times that things
don't do it at home.
Yeah.
Kids don't do it at home.
Exactly.
Kids don't do it at home. Kids don't watch the show anyway. But maybe. Times that maybe there you go, JT was already
exactly gonna be careful.
Were there times that you were worried, like that things didn't go well?
No, I think because I was a very special child that was very clumsy. I'm quite a cautious person. Like I've never broken a bone or anything because I don't really so I've never had any accidents, but I do know people who've pierced their esophagus and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's you can end up. That's why I'm like, don't try this at home. Yeah. But I've never personally had anything. I've been very lucky, but with the sword swallowing, maybe not with the other stuff.
Yeah.
Which we might get to.
Yeah, because when you send me your bio and then I was having a look at your profiles, you've done some more like extreme performances. And I actually wrote on the bio like, who is keen to work with their partner, like to go on the boards and let them throw the knife.
How much do you trust your partner?
Yeah, how much do you trust your partner? So that was a big thing in your life, the knife throwing partnership?
So me and my ex-husband had this knife throwing act called the Death Do Us Part Danger Show. If you want to see this crazy thing, it still exists online. And it was we kind of found a lot of success with it. We got a load of really cool opportunities. We got to kind of travel the world doing it. And it was, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But it was insane. Like, just the kind of some of the stressful circumstances and some of the times, we were just, and like, I'll tell you, because people are like, oh, you must really trust him. And I'm like, with the knives, relatively, with like women and money, nah. Absolutely not. But even with the knives, like, we had some mishaps.
Right. Because you would practice still and then you would go for the movements, the ones that you were spinning, and is that kind of the process?
Yeah, we'd try a new thing. We'd be like, right, and no one taught us we just taught ourselves to do all this stuff. So, we literally would like, can we do this? We'd come up with a crazy idea and just be like, is this going to work? Are we going to die? Well, am I going to die? Maybe I really wanted to die because I just didn't care. Yeah. But, and we would, and either things would work or they would not.
Right. Was that a big, like, accident or something that really got to you, go close?
We had a few. I think I was saying this to you earlier before we were on air, but I never ever admitted while we were in the show, people would always be like, oh, has he ever hit you with a knife? And I'd be like, no, because I don't want people to not book us. But the truth is, many times. And like, not through him being bad, just because it's a really dangerous thing. And we were doing it all the time.
You're practicing.
Yeah. And I think the worst time was, I actually have a video of this, because someone filmed it and didn't realize like the extent, but he like hit me in the stomach. Because I used to hold this tiny little piece of wood in front of me at the end of the show, and he hit like one knife went in, then he hit a second one, and it knocked the first one out, and he was just like, you could see him like rattled, and then he threw the third one, and it went straight into like the bottom of my stomach. And, you know, what can you do? There's like hundreds of people watching. So, so I just was like, yay, this is the end.
Holy crap. Jesus.
You know, and no one really realized.
Yeah.
Wow. And then we went off.
She's probably got a bulletproof jacket on under there. Something.
Well, it was crazy. And then we went off to the dressing room, because I was like, Charlie, this is bad. You know, this is bad. And we went to the dressing room, and there's like, you know, this big wound that was like bleeding all over the floor. And we didn't want the producers of the show to know, because we were meant to be doing 2 more nights. So we're like, they'll cancel us. So we locked ourselves in the toilet, and he had to like tape me up. And then we had to do a second act.
Wait, so you pulled it out?
Oh, you know, it doesn't stick.
It just poked you.
Okay. It just hit me and like falls out. Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't. They're real heavy.
So it wasn't like in the movies where it's like stuck in there. And they're like, if you pull it out, she's gonna bleed out. No. Okay, so it wasn't that dramatic, but it was still. Like,
it was relatively dramatic.
Yeah, a hole in your stomach. Yeah.
But if it had been stuck in me, it would have been more of an issue.
Yeah. Wow. But you still had to do a second act.
Well, yeah, and so I remember we went on stage, and I was just like, this is gonna be completely fucked. Like, this is, you know, he's gonna, and there's a YouTube video of that second act as well. And it's probably the best video of our performance ever. Everything was flawless. Wow. But it's just like my face. I'm just like, this is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Wow. And then when we came off stage, I was, because I was wearing a corset, and obviously all the blood, I came off stage and it was just like pissing blood. And then I ended up having to go to the emergency room.
Oh my gosh. What did they say when you got there?
Oh, they were like, you could have just put a
plaster on.
Well, like, like steri strips, like butterfly stitches. He was like, you should just have some of those because it's not that bad. And I was like, oh, because I was like, it's terrible, but it wasn't that bad. But yeah, the whole thing was crazy.
Wow. Rach, for you, because you said, oh, maybe I wanted to die. It sounded like a joke, you know, but like...
I didn't really want to die.
I know, but like some of the things quite extreme. And like when we see these like freak shows or whatever, like even when people cut themselves, you know, like to release that pain, like, and you were telling us that you went through some dark moments in life, and then now you have that maturity to look back and understand. Were you making sense of some moments of struggle that maybe you were going through, and you were just putting the show and like trying to, now let's go, it's all good? Oh
no, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that I've realized, having found happiness and become calm in the last few years, is, you know, I definitely, yeah. I mean, I think I've had PTSD like for a very long time. I got diagnosed last year with I got diagnosed with loads of stuff last year. And I always just thought I was, you know, just a bit strange, but apparently there's reasons. But what's interesting is a lot of people with stuff like that will seek out risk-taking behavior because it feels like home, you know. So what's interesting is I've always done crazy shit, like always. But the thing with when we were doing the knife throwing show, it was a way to actually turn it into a job. It was amazing because I monetized my you know, my kind of adrenaline, and it's really interesting because, you know, that whole kind of stuff is about keeping your body in a state of like fight or flight in a kind of and like it's all to do with emotional addiction, which I definitely was, you know, and emotional addiction, this is a true fact, is harder to beat than crack addiction.
Wow.
But yeah, so you're absolutely right. So I think I literally engineered my life so that I could be just constantly moving and traveling and just doing this crazy stuff because it meant I didn't have to sit still and I didn't have to kind of
feel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. When we had Nocturnus here, who actually recommended to us to get in touch with you.
I love Nocturnus.
We love her too. Thank you. I saw her in Auckland on the weekends. She had finished the
did you go to the Angels?
No, because I was playing a gig. Oh. But then we met in the streets. It was amazing. She was like, she was tired. She was like, oh, it went so well, but she was tired. So big kiss to her. She was telling us about like how supportive the industry and you know, the people who are doing the performances, like how inclusive and beautiful it is to relate to that group of people, but I guess it's not all flowers. You might come across some people who are on a different.
I'll tell you something. This country has, and I hope lots of performers are watching this because I really mean this from the heart. This country has the most supportive scene for that type of thing in the entire world.
Great.
You know, like really in the UK, it's not quite like, you know, in I know a lot of my friends who perform in Australia, there's a lot of kind of like cattiness and people stealing each other's gigs and, you know, that kind of thing. But I think in this country, we're lucky here because it's a smaller place. And I think people are just good people as well. But you know, everyone is so supportive. And no, Nocturnus is right. It's really, really beautiful. You know, I've never kind of felt so much like part of a community. Like it's really, really amazing here.
I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that, say, for instance, we talk about mental health in the public space quite a lot. You know, like we're always talking about like funding for mental health and all that sort of stuff. I don't know what it's like in other countries. Do they cover that sort of stuff in the UK a little bit or not really?
A little bit more than here, yeah, but not that much.
Seems like a big thing at the moment anyway. And I think the community aspect of scenes or in the arts especially because, you know, like it's hard to make money off the arts, especially in a country like New Zealand where like in theatre, it's like it's hit and miss if you make money doing a show or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas in the UK and in the US, like you can make a living off
doing
theatre
you can.
shows.
I mean, that's definitely like, I mean, I found that, you know, here it would be very hard to make a living as a full-time performer, you know.
Unless you're retired, which is what most of my artist friends are. Or just struggling, you know, like you're just getting by kind of thing.
No, it's really hard here. Whereas in the, you know, in somewhere like the UK, because you're close to Europe, so you've got all those countries as well, you know, there is enough work that you can do it as a job, whereas here I don't think there is. But you know, I mean, a few people manage it, but I think they do struggle. But I think it's also just because the scene is so much smaller here, you know, people do lift each other up because they kind of have to. Because I think also if anyone was going to be like a massive dick, they wouldn't be tolerated because the scenes are so small. So they'd be, you know.
Word gets round.
Yeah.
Don't put this person.
Yeah, so people are, and just there is something very, very kind of special. You know, I think I can honestly say I've enjoyed performing here more than anywhere else in the world. And you know, might not be the biggest crowds or the, you know, but there is something very, very special and very appreciative about like both the other performers and the people, I think.
You wrote was it a play the about the sex workers in
I've written
different things, but
I remember two plays.
two plays. I want to talk about both, but the one that really called my attention and I wanted to get some thoughts on you was about sex workers. What?
Yeah, it's called Tales from the Stripped, and we did it Tales from the Stripped.
Great name.
Yeah, it's very good. And we did it last year. Basically, I was awarded a residency at Bats Theatre in Wellington to develop something after I did my first show. And, you know, Bats are amazing. They're so supportive, incredible organisation. And they gave me this residency and where I basically got a space for a month to come and create and a grant and things to help with that. And I basically found probably, I think it was six other sex workers who I felt like had, you know, kind of interesting and different, kind of diverse from each other's stories and kind of truths. And then we made this crazy show that it has a very very interesting plot about being it's very hard to explain, but it had this very kind of fantastical plot, but all the kind of stories within it and all the words and everything were from people's own experiences, you know. So it was kind of and it was a really incredible experience. It was a difficult. I mean, I think to do something like that for my second thing was it was a very ambitious project, but everyone in it, you know, was incredible. And I'm very, very proud that we did it.
Did you get these stories from them and create new characters, or you portrayed them as themselves?
You know, that's a really good question. They were kind of themselves, but also a character to kind of, because I think our director Rose said that, you know, that's an important thing to do. So you have a layer of separation between you and the actual person. But like the experiences they were portraying were definitely their own. And I mean, no one in the cast was like really a trained actor, including myself.
Wait, so this cast was the workers?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was their stories,
okay.
but they
like reliving.
Yeah, but they also
story.
acted in it. And they were absolutely incredible. Like they were, you know, they were like, there was some people came to the opening night and they said, you know, they were as good as any like drama students or whatever, you know, they really kind of shone. And I'm really, I think it's something that we might do it again or something at some point, but it was a lot of work and it was quite a kind of stressful. I think I was very stressed at the time as well. But it's something that I haven't kind of had the time yet to really appreciate how wonderful an experience it was, because it was very special.
Sorry, no, you
I was just going to say that would have been really educational for the audiences as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the funny thing is, I don't think I really made it so much to be educational. I think it was, but the thing that was amazing is a lot of sex workers came to see it. And
True.
I mean, the first night, the opening night, like it was a lot of sex workers. Everyone was crying. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like it got to the point where it was actually disruptive because they were all sniffling and trying to find tissues. And I was like, what's going on back there? But it's because they felt seen. And I think for me, that was the important thing, was more, it was to kind of shine a light on the real experience, as opposed to, you know, a lot of the time when these things are portrayed in the media, they're portrayed in a certain way and it's not the truth. And a lot of people probably don't ever think about the things that actually do, you know, affect us. So yeah, that was really, it was really cool. It's, I feel like I'm probably not talking about it now. I'm like, maybe I'm not done with it yet.
If you got funding, would you do it again? Would you do that same show, or even like do something similar with a different group of sex workers? Yeah,
I mean, I think that show could go again, even with a different cast or something. But yeah, I would. I think though, the thing that's interesting, because my first show was Autobiographical, that was about my life. And that was kind of to do with sex work and to do with the crazy knife throwing stuff and all the, you know, and my first show was called Gag Reflex. And it's got some sword swallowing in it. Very good. And, you know, I just had this idea. I was just like, I'd like to maybe try and do a theatre show based on my life. And I got a really good Hugo girl who's a very well-known...
I know Hugo.
Yeah. So he produced it for me and did an amazing job. And I
went to uni with him.
Did you?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I had this, Hugo found me Sabrina Martin, who was the director, and she was amazing. And they basically just, you know, shaped me. I was just this raw material, and they shaped me into this show. And, you know, I didn't even know that there were awards at the Fringe Festival. Like, I genuinely didn't know till like 3 days before the end of the festival. And then I was like, oh, there's awards. Do you think maybe we might get nominated? And you know, they were like, oh, maybe. And we won Best in Fringe, you know, which for
amazing.
that was pretty magical for me, to be honest.
It's so cool.
It's my redemption arc.
Yeah,
you see?
It's nice. Rachel, what are the things that are quite relatable amongst the people who are sex workers? Because when we had some of them in the show, people coming in and talking openly about it, and when we read, there's usually someone, like, people come with that empowerment thing, because it's not an easy job. So you got to put yourself off that of, like, you know, you got to respect me for what I'm doing. You know, it's unfortunate that you got to demand that this respect from the public, because it's easy for the everyday people to just say, whatever, okay. So there's that thing of putting that, you know, thing of confidence. But as you said, people got emotional when they were watching these stories. Like, are there things that you could tell that everyone had gone through, that there were similarities?
I mean,
in the
it
stories?
was a lot of a lot of the kind of stories, it wasn't even so much things like, you know, it was like, wasn't like traumatic experiences or anything like that. A lot of it was about having to keep things secret. Because I mean, that is probably the hardest thing, you know, for any type of, you know, even if you're a stripper or if you have OnlyFans or if you're a full service sex worker, anything, you know, it's not something you can really tell your parents. I mean, some people do. Some people have amazing parents, but for the majority of the time, people are hiding it from their families. They're hiding it sometimes from their partners. Like I've known, you know, people who are doing stuff like that and hiding it from their partners, hiding it from, you know, like
the stigma.
Yeah, the stigma and just the weight of having to lie. That's what I've always said. That is the most just frustrating thing, is having to constantly, you know, make up a fake job or make up, you know, it can be really, really, really exhausting.
You have to remember those lies.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's consistent.
And I mean, what was really cool is one of the storylines in the show was one of the main like this girl who plays one of the main characters, she, as part of the storyline of her character, she hadn't told her parents about her being a sex worker, and on the last night of the show her parents came and they did not know, and they found out
twist.
Yeah. Which was so brave of her, like so brave.
Did she invite them?
Yes. Well, they wanted to come, and I was like, because I'm a real coward. I was just like, oh, maybe not. And they did come, and it was incredibly brave of her. And I mean, and the speech she gives when she talks about telling her parents and stuff as well is very beautiful. You know, this is one of the crying.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to see the show now. I might not be able to watch through my tears.
It's very, very special. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. That's powerful.
I was going to ask, could you put that in a book form, please?
Yeah. I'm actually writing something along those lines at the moment. Yeah. So yeah.
Because they're quite like, if you've got a series of stories, you know, A, it's digestible, B, you get different perspectives and experiences, and C, like in such a small country like Aotearoa, New Zealand, it's good. I think it helps. The more there's exposure and visibilizing those stories and those people.
Oh no, absolutely. And I mean, you know, this country is, you know, this country is leagues ahead of most, you know, because sex work is decriminalized here, and it's, you know, and I feel like there is a lot more acceptance here than in a lot of other places, but it's still, I think, you know, it's the removal of stigma. That was a very good word. Is the most important thing. And that was kind of why the whole point of that show was just to just be like, just normal, you know, it was very much about normalizing. Yeah.
Did you hear or did you know men that work as sex workers as well?
Have I known any men?
Yeah, like yeah. But they were not part of the
no,
story,
there was no men. We decided that that would have been too much to try and fit into one thing. We were like, this is women's stories. You know, and we talked about it. We were like, should we have some, you know, some male? But we were like, not for this time. But yeah, there are, you know, there's a lot of them as well.
There's a movie on Netflix called Good Luck.
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande, yeah. Yes. I watched that with my mother-in-law, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I watched that, and I thought I was going to really like it, and I found like it a bit clunky.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I felt like it was written by someone that maybe hadn't experienced any of the things that was happening in it. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
When I wanted to ask, and then you mentioned that in New Zealand, it's legal, and so
it's decriminalized.
Sorry, decriminalized.
Yeah.
So, can you explain me that? It's like, what's the difference from countries that you've been to that women or men struggle to work to a place where it's decriminalized when it comes to rights and
Okay, so I mean, one of the main things. So it was decriminalized 20 years last year in this country in 2003. And it basically means, I mean, I'm not the best person to ask about the actual legal stuff because but that I have seen, you know, I know about the effect on people's rights and stuff like that. And what it means is that, you know, if someone gets, for instance, if someone gets assaulted or something here, they can go straight to the cops and they can take the person to court. And that's happened quite a lot recently. You know, there have been cases of, you know, workers who've been stealthed and stuff, you know, where someone's removed a condom or something like that. And they've successfully prosecuted the person that did it. And that person has, you know, got jail time. And that would never happen in any countries where it's, you know, where it's still criminalized, because you're not going to go to the cops to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that is one of the, it's pretty amazing here. And there's an organization called NZPC who they fought for the decriminalization, and they provide all kinds of amazing support, but they you know, they are like they give a support system to workers and stuff if something happens to them, and they will, you know, they have liaisons with the police and stuff, and they will push, you know, if people want to, you know, you can push for, you know, for legal action, which is incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. It's such a good chat, and we're getting some like delicate topics, but I do want to talk about the fun.
Yeah, we can talk about fun.
One of the cool things that you sent me is that you were even part of the Ozzfest one year, the Ozzy Osbourne festival. That's cool. That's pretty cool. So what were you performing at the time?
So that was that was in my just getting into this world. So this was like not long after I ran away with my friend's show in 2010. I think I ran away with them in like May, and then I was living in Australia at the time. I went back to Australia, and then my friend messaged me, my friend Amy, who had the show. She still had the show. And she messaged me and said, "Oh my God, we've been asked to go on Ozzfest because I don't know, there was some entertainment dropped out or something." And she's like, "We've been asked to go on Ozzfest. Will you come over and do merch for us?" So I was like, "I'm there." So I was like on the next flight, like packing my bags. And so I was just like because we did it in we had like a little tent in the parking lot. And I would go out and like sell tickets and sell merch, and then we would go and, you know, obviously like hang out with the bands and watch the bands and stuff. And some pretty cool stuff. Like we ended up it was Rob Halford's birthday, you know, Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
It was his birthday on one of the last nights. And me and Amy gave him a birthday cake on stage, like in front of like thousands and thousands of people. Like we went on stage and sang him happy birthday and gave him a birthday cake. So that was pretty cool.
So you didn't have to eat any bats.
No bats.
I was
only
waiting
cakes.
for that part.
You were like,
when's the bats coming?
Yeah. So no, that was incredible. You know, I mean, I've had some pretty amazing experiences like touring America and stuff like that.
Who are some famous people that you've met other than?
There you go. The name drop. The name drop.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I mean, I've met loads. So when I was growing up, my two best friends, both of them had husbands that were drummers, and one of them's husband was the drummer in a band called Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah.
And
Really?
Yeah. And so through them I got to go to heaps of, you know, VIP things in festivals. So I've met I've been in the same room as like Kanye West,
Okay,
and
so
I've
the
met
list is too long. Okay.
Quite long.
I'll be here forever.
And then my other best friend, her husband is quite a famous black metal drummer who was in a lot of famous black metal bands. So through that, I got to I spent I was very spoiled, I think, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Did you have some memorable encounters that you were maybe you were expecting the person to be one thing and it was not, or you were completely surprised by how different the people
I'm
were?
trying to think. Generally, I find that most famous people are smaller than you expect.
Like short.
Yes.
You mean, yeah.
Yeah, like
Not
I was
next to me.
I was in an extra in a film once that had Gary Oldman in it.
Oh, wow.
And he was like the size of a child. Like I was just like waiting for my scene, and then this guy said something to me, and I turned around, and there's this tiny man. And then I was like, oh, that's Gary Oldman. But he was like, this, yeah.
Wow.
So I think the screen makes, I think that's the one thing that I've learned is.
That's why they're screen actors, not theatre actors.
Yes.
There you go. What was the film that you were a part of?
It was called, I think it's called Dead Fish. And I actually looked it up because I was, for my theatre thing at uni, I had to write an acting resume. And I was like, what was the name of that film? Yeah. And it had, what's the Scottish man? The one from Trainspotting that's not Ewan McGregor, the bad guy. Robert Carlyle was in it, and Billy Zane and Gary Oldman. But yeah, no, I mean, I have met. Honestly, with the famous people thing, I almost need to sit and like
write a list. So
yeah,
be like, oh yeah, that time I was sitting next to blah blah blah.
It was really, you know, I was really lucky. Like I got to you know see and do some pretty cool stuff.
Was that? I'm assuming it's before the time that selfies were a thing. Because I'm a selfie.
Yeah.
slut. If I bumped into, you know, someone famous in the street, I'm one of those shameless people that are like, hi.
Well, no,
can I please get a selfie?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that's actually quite sad is so much of my, you know, my kind of glory days, they were like maybe the beginning days of the digital camera.
Right, yeah.
But like I also have like moved countries like 3 times and have lost all, you know, I don't even have like many photos from when I was young because I'm too chaotic. But yeah, so that's the one thing that I get sad about because I'm like, I did so much cool stuff and there's no proof.
Yeah.
There's no proof.
It might be better, Rachel. It might be better.
I think kind of because we did talk about that, you know, before with the unreality of Instagram and stuff like that, like as demonstrated by my marriage.
That people can just go and expose you and bring everything up. And then we were also talking about the deep fakes nowadays that you don't even know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
With creating images that are not even you.
I can AI some selfies with famous people.
Yeah.
I don't meet them anymore.
Yeah, you don't even need to meet them. Yeah. Yeah, you can just, that's wild. But I mean, I think, you know, like when we were, right before we started, when we were talking about because, you know, the thing that, like what I was saying about when I was married, me and my ex-husband's show, we had a pretty big presence on the internet and we had a lot of like viral videos and stuff. And we had literally like super fans, like people would message us every day being like, I wait for your video every day. You know, I've got depression. You guys are the only thing that makes me feel better. You know, your true love, your goals, your relationship goals. And the fact is, you know, me and him did not like each other very much. But the trouble is when you're getting all this glory and like, you know, adoration from people telling you that your relationship is the best relationship in the world and they're so jealous of it, you're just like, all right, you know, I'll take that, you know. And I think it's weird now because I don't post on social media much at all at the moment because I feel like the more mentally healthy and happy I become, the less I need it. And I needed it when I was in a real bad place because it was the only thing, you know, I needed the kind of, I think that's very interesting.
I wanted to ask you about the relationship with technology because I think it was Nocturnes again. She said that it's not enough to be an artist and to do the beautiful things that an artist would do. You also have to be an artist online to promote yourself, to put yourself out there so people can see your work. It's so consuming. It's so energy consuming. So are you at the point that people get in touch and you're able to spread the word and you can talk about your work in different ways, or you still have to rely on that promotion?
I'm definitely in a strange situation now because I'm studying and stuff and I'm kind of moving towards different
new things. Cool.
Yeah. So I think the things that I'm moving towards, I don't want to talk too much about them because they're, like I don't want to jinx it. But like
next time you're here.
But I have some pretty exciting things that I have planned. But they are things that are kind of just require me to be quiet and calm and kind of just do them. So I'm definitely in a big like metamorphosis at the moment. Like, but I don't know. I mean, I absolutely get. I mean, I think I always feel bad because I mean, Nocturna's posts about that kind of thing a lot because I know it upsets her because she's one of the most beautiful, incredible, creative people I've ever met, and it's like, you know, you can't just exist and be creative. You have to be doing like, and like now it's like everyone has to be doing like skits, and like, you know, and yeah,
and you have to have things lined up as well. Like once one season of something is over, you've got to be working on something, or at least have something.
Well, and this is what is interesting because I honestly, like when we had the knife throwing show, like I was really good at content creation. Like I would come up with we would make these kind of videos of us practicing. And like I said, if TikTok had been around then, we would, you know, it would have been, I mean, and a lot of them did go viral, you know, they got stolen by like Lad Bible and people like that. But the thing that was crazy is, you know, that was before being a content creator was a thing. It was that was the very kind of early days of stuff like that. But I kind of was really good at like the formula and really good at, you know, selling. I mean, you know, the brand, I will toot my own horn about that. You know, I really kind of like created this thing. And I know that I can do it if I want to do it, but it's just, I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
You know, if I have something, you know, if something comes up that I really, you know, really need to push, like I have a new show that I'm doing, like a new circus show, and you know, we've not really started promoting that yet. So when I need to do it, I know how to do it, but I'm really enjoying not being on the internet, guys.
Good on you. Good on you.
I love it.
Good on you.
Living in real life.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. I mean, you must feel like that, you know, obviously with like having a baby and stuff, you know, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty genuine on my social media. My personal page is private, so it's mostly people that I know or have met. And then I've got my friends list on my stories that if there's something a little bit more personal, I'll share it on just my
close friends. Yeah.
So I've got my own sort of system that I use social media for, but I'm definitely one of those like funny. Well, I'm so funny, guys. No,
You're very funny.
No, but I post more sort of like the funny, relatable stuff, especially because most of my mum friends don't post their kids online, which I completely understand and respect. But me, I'm like, look at my little gremlin. You know, me and my husband are both dorks on social media, and the joy I get from that is when my friends message me cracking up, like I've made my friends smile or laugh or say, oh my God, that's so relatable sort of thing, rather than like, or if I'm having a day where I feel like glamorous and beautiful, I'm like, look how good I look today, guys. Yeah. And then all my girlfriends are like, slay.
And that's a really important thing, I think, you know, because I think people can criticize social media, but, you know, I think that, you know, the ability to make oneself feel good is definitely a thing. I also think, because my sister, it was funny, I saw my sister last week and she was asking me, you know, because she was saying to her kids, you know, social media is bad. And then she said, has anything good ever happened to you through social media? And I said, actually, for me, one of the best things is like connecting me to people around the world. And, you know, the thing that's quite cool is, you know, I've met some of my best friends on Instagram and some of them in other countries. And you know, and then I'd do a tour to that country and I'd get to actually meet them in real life, you know, but like that connection is amazing, and there is no other way that you could, you know, become friends with people you would never otherwise. So I think people like to complain about it, but there is definitely,
well, connection is like supposedly the main benefit of social media. Like you've traveled so much, you know, you make friends in different places. It's nice to be able to update them on what you're up to.
No, it is.
You know, like I've got family all over the place, and like my mum's family in the Philippines, I've never met them, but they can see some of the stuff that I get up to, you know, like taking my kids out hiking and all that sort of stuff. Like it's not like I live in this, well, compared to them, I'm wealthy, but it's not like I'm posting photos of like an Evo or like, you know, like I live in New Zealand, I'm so rich. I'm rich compared to them, but I'm still living a pretty humble life otherwise, you know, like.
And the cool thing is that everyone can see you. It's hard because there are algorithms and things, but like a post that is shared and it reaches a good amount of people, you never know who's going to see that. You know, it's the same for us, you know, like we're putting so much content out there, and then we see like, oh, interesting people are starting to like and follow us and send a message, and you're like, how would we do that if we were still in the times where TV had a monopoly and it was always hard to crack into that group?
Yeah,
nowadays,
completely.
if you do it well, if there's quality in what you're doing, and I think even more important than the quality is being authentic. If people can get it, that is legit, they will hit the like button, or they will support you, send you a message. And I feel like that's the cool thing about this moment, that a lot of countries are a little bit more ahead and the other ones are catching up. There's a reason why TV is losing strength, and even the big podcasts are losing strength, because we were talking about that in the car. They cannot talk about a lot of subjects.
Yeah.
You know,
because they're sponsored.
So what's the point of getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but you have amazing people in front of you and you cannot actually go to some topics that the audience wants to listen to or send a question? You know, so I feel like there's a moment for people to put themselves out there and make themselves heard.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you're right. And I think, you know, things are changing. I mean, I do think it's, I am not a huge fan, like I said, of the fact that now everyone has to be making like comedy skits and, you know, but this is just the one way it's going. And then it will probably go back. At some point, there will be the retro Instagram trend where people are only posting pictures, you know, because everything comes in circles.
Or there will be a new app that goes back to what Instagram originally was.
There's only photos, and people are like, oh, you're making like reels. That's not cool. Yeah, you know, like the same way that, like, because I find that at uni, like a lot of younger people now don't like Facebook. Like Facebook is like for grandmas now, you know, like Facebook is just like not considered a cool thing anymore, and they all use Instagram. But like at some point, it's gonna
TikTok.
And TikTok, and at some point those will go out, and they'll be the new. It'll be the AI deep fake app where you can pretend that you're best friends with Taylor Swift. And
and next minute we'll all be living in, what's it called? Not RVs.
VRs. RVs.
See what I mean about my brain? But yeah, like living in artificial worlds where you can create your own avatar and engage with people. Black Mirror stuff.
Yes.
Black Mirror stuff.
It's so, I feel like for this whole thing, you guys will just have normal hands. I'm so strange. I've been here with these weird like claw hands.
You got nails to
the coolest. Yeah. I cool that you're mentioning that, because I was thinking about it. When you come up with these characters, you know, it's such a beautiful thing to look at your photos, because like there's the wig and there's the clothing. Like, do you have specific moments in history and in time that you're a fan of, that you like to relate to?
No.
Or it's just...
I mean, I don't really come up as characters. I like occasionally will just wear a wig, but mostly it's just kind of me.
The outfits are so cool.
I just like wearing like wacky outfits. I'm just a show off.
They're cool.
There was a girl that a small town. I grew up in a small town, and there was a girl that I grew up with. She was always really quite gothy, naturally pale skin, dark hair, and then she became a mum, and then she kept her aesthetic. Like, I've changed so many times throughout my like 20s, and now I'm in my early 30s, and I have like odd days where I'm like, one day I'm like butch, dressed like a boy. Another day I'll be like, I'm a girl, you know, like I'm a girly girl. Other days I'm like, I'm a sloppy mom. So I have different like looks, depending on how I feel on the day. But people who like her and yourself, who have these consistent, beautiful, like that's your aesthetic. Like I wish I had that consistency in my life.
I mean,
sometimes.
I also have some different eras throughout the week.
That makes me feel better.
This is my polished era, but I also have my very like tramp, like living on the streets. But in terms of like the kind of goth stuff and that, you know, I mean, I've been into that stuff since I was like 16, I think, you know, and I mean, I looked way crazier, like, you know, when I was like 19 or whatever. I had like red dreadlocks down to my bum and like 6-inch platform boots, buffalo boots, which are now back in fashion. You know, and then that was like the era of cyber goth. So
I remember that.
Cybergoth was a thing. Yeah. I think it's kind of come full circle. Like, I think it's cool again now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty, this is like my more tame. I'm definitely kind of settling down into my grandma goth era.
Grandma goth. I love that.
My old lady. Yeah. But no, I mean, I love getting dressed up for stuff. I love it. Like, I will never ever. And I've always said, I've only got like two looks. I'm like on 1,000% or I'm off.
Yeah.
I don't really have like nice clothes in the middle. Just like I'm a normal
casual. No. Yeah. I'm super casual because I'm lazy.
Well, no, I have my like real casual, and then I have this, and then I don't just have.
Do you
like
go to the supermarket like that?
No, I go in the other end.
Yeah.
But then I don't have I like, my partner's always like, you could just wear some like nice jeans and a nice top. I'm like, oh, my partner's like, you don't have to wear like gym tights all the time or like a corset. And I'm like, nah, that's me.
I find that Wellington's a great place to be able to dress up as just however you want. Like, it's very really accepting city. I loved Wellington for that. There was so much diversity and expression, and everyone, like, you'd see all sorts of weirdos on the street, but it was a good thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is. I always say it's like a beautiful little bubble, and it's very safe there, and you can kind of, you can wear whatever you want and no one's going to really say anything to you or judge you. And then you go to other parts, you're like going to leave Wellington, you're like, oh, fuck.
I was one of like the 5 emo kids in Tokoroa. I even had a shirt that said emo kid on it. I needed everyone to know.
How is the relationship with your partner when it comes to the work that you do? Like, is he also in the industry?
My partner's a she.
Your partner is a she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. No, she's amazing. She's amazing. She's very, very supportive, and let's just leave it at that.
Is she also does she do anything similar to what you do with
is she an artist?
Performances and artists?
No. She's a whatchamacallit, structural steel fabricator.
Structural steel fabricator.
Like a welder. Yeah.
So you went straight to the source for your sport.
Actually,
she knew what she wanted.
Actually, I've not kind of utilized any of those connections.
Can you polish my sword for me, please? Sorry, it's very inappropriate, Elvisa. Jesus.
But yeah, she's real cool. Like she's very she actually learnt to throw knives in my first show because I needed someone to throw knives at me to replicate the.
Speaking of trust.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you know what?
The ultimate test.
Actually, she was better than my ex-husband. And so, she, like in the speed, she got real good, like faster, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so we. So that was a pretty crazy thing because I was just like, I need someone to throw knives at me in the show. Like, would you do it? And she was like, yeah, I'll do it. But it's funny. It's the complete opposite to me. Hates performing, hates being on stage, hates being in the spotlight.
But she does it. Like
she'll do it because she loves me.
Oh, that's sweet.
Aww. But she hates the the limelight. Yeah, real like just. Like reluctant, like whenever, because we've done the show a few times and everyone's always like all the kind of texts and stuff are like, wow, she doesn't seem like she wants to be here. And I'm like, nah. But that's love,
Rachel, because the internet will give you whatever you're watching and it will keep feeding you that, so it's easy to get in a space that shows so much hate and ignorance towards gender and options and sexuality, so I said, oh, he, and then you were like, she, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, all good, she, but like, we know that so many people would be like, oh, that's still, 2024, we still have to deal with like some shitty situations. Do you feel like it's getting better though? Like from your journey, from watching things changing and people accepting or not accepting?
I actually think it's probably getting worse right now because there's a lot of like,
political stuff. Yeah,
there's a lot of far right kind of people pushing for, like the painting white of the rainbow crossings and shit like that. Like, and actually, sorry, I should have just hit the microphone. No, I should have qualified. So my partner's actually trans. So she used to be, she was born male, but now she's female. And obviously there is a lot, trans people are receiving a lot of hate at the moment, which is not, not great. And I mean, I think it's always like political scapegoats, and it's the same in America. They're trying to blame like drag queen story time for like, in a country where, everyone's shooting each other, at all times. And they They
don't really care about kids. They care about squashing diversity.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And it's always a smokescreen. It's the same as here, they're saying like, oh, they're trying to, like you've been talking about that kind of thing here. And it's it's like how many drag queens have been like, ever. I saw a meme about this, but who've ever been like accused of, assaulting a child. Zero. How many church leaders have been accused of sexually assaulting a child? I think it was 29 in this country. Yeah. So it's, but I mean, I think it's scary times right now. I think we are very lucky, my partner and I, because we live in Wellington, and Wellington is
a safer place.
It is a beautiful little bubble. But yeah, the rest of the world is getting scary right now, and it is scary for trans people, and it's and queer people, and I don't think I think things did come so far, and now there is this kind of weird
pendulum swim going back, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, also I think throughout history there has always been periods of kind of like real like liberalism, and then periods of kind of puritanism, and this is actually, if you look throughout history, it kind of, because it's always a way to get political power, is to go, be like, well, we don't like this thing anymore, so let's reverse it,
and play on fear.
Yeah.
And a lot of older generations, particularly, I'm not saying all older generations, one of my family members was like, you said all old people don't understand queer people or something. I was just like, not you, obviously. But there's, they play on what people are afraid of because they don't understand. Yeah. So like people get angry and upset about things that they don't quite understand.
Yeah.
So if they have more of an open mind, are open to learning and understanding and acceptance and embracing different lived experiences or sexualities or expressions, even it's the Aotearoa Council shut down the Rainbow Story Time, and the two people, like I've told people like because I identify as queer, and I met my husband in Wellington when we were 20, so people just assume that I'm completely straight because I've got two kids and I'm married to a man, and this is where I like have to step in and speak up when I'm having one-on-one conversations and be like, actually, like, you're assuming something about me that is not,
you don't know,
is not actually reality.
No.
And that's where it's really frustrating, because like I just wish people were more curious about other people in a way that opens them up rather than closes them off and keeps them angry. Yeah, it's really sad, actually.
It is really sad, and it does, you're absolutely right, it comes from fear, and it comes from people feeling threatened that something is being, by other people having freedom, it's taking away from their freedom.
Yeah.
Which is so untrue and so silly. It's like I've actually been reading a lot about, it's like a scarcity mindset where it's like, well, if they have these freedoms, then it means that I can't have, and it's
all the kids are going to turn out gay.
Yeah. And it's like, kids have always been gay or not. There's also loads of kids that aren't gay, but just it's not going to affect.
That's right.
One of the positive things about social media, I think, is like you can have a really well articulated like video clip of somebody explaining that, like even from your guys' podcast, just like you cut a really well articulated argument or point, and then you can share that and be like, hey, what's your thought on this point? Because some people can't articulate what they believe or understand. And so one of the good things about social media is that you can share like education,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what you feel, sometimes you cannot translate to words, and
Exactly.
that's when people suffer a lot, and then they hurt because they know what's happening to them. They just cannot vocalize it, right? And then finding those spaces at school, I guess, like tutors or teachers or professionals who can support them as well, because sometimes at home it's hard, to come to mom and dad and open up. So finding those people that you can have a chat. I feel, we chatted about that before as well, like going and paying attention to what the kids are doing, supporting, like see how can, because they are already understanding the world differently. Even when we criticize cell phones, like I'm like, this is so dumb, but the kids don't care. It's just their reality. For them, it is what it is. So when they see diversity out there, they look at the people going against that and they just laugh about them.
Well, prejudice is taught. Children,
100%.
Children are so naturally loving and curious and open. They're honest, so they'll ask questions. But if you can educate them and actually be able to answer some of those questions, they're more likely to just love on be decent adults one day.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I feel like it's coming to that time of the night.
We're like, ow. So
we just need a little bit of context before. Are you okay? Are you about to put a sword in your throat and you hurt your finger?
I've hurt my finger. I can't do it now.
Oh, no.
I can't. I'm joking.
Damn. So that was the coolest thing because Rachel flew into Whitianga with Barry Ayer, and she was amazing. She was like, Leo, I'm bringing a sword with me. Do you think it's okay to catch a plane to Whitianga with a sword? So I called them, and they were like very supportive, and they were
very nice.
Good. So shout out Barry Ayer.
Barry Ayer are amazing.
In the airplane.
Yeah. She did mention it was funny because I started like that. I called them, and then I was like, this is gonna sound funny. One of our guests is bringing a sword to Whitianga, and she was like, what kind of sword? And I'm like, I hope it's not a ninja sword. That would be a different show. And then she was like, no, it's okay. Yeah, just tell her to check in the bag. And I'm like, cool. So thank you very much, Barry Ayer. And we would love to see that, Rachel. We would love to see you doing the thing that makes people excited.
I wonder, can I do it?
What do you think? Would it be standing or what?
I
you
can
just
do
let
it
us know?
sitting down.
You let us know and we will adjust.
What is easier for the
camera, Taylor? Do you want me to move the mic out of the way or would you like to?
Whatever's easier for you.
Whatever's easier for you, we will adapt.
Can I take my headphones off?
You can take your headphones off for sure.
Okay.
I won't even say kids don't try this at home because they're not watching. So adults drinking beer since 3 p.m. don't try this at home.
I wonder if I can do it sitting down. I think so.
If you prefer standing, is it better? If you want to do standing, Taylor will adjust. Just wait a minute, please, so we can make sure that we got you. And JT is checking on the monitor to make sure that we are. Oh my! And that's heavy. Did you hear that, Elvisa?
Yeah, I heard it clunk.
Alrighty.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you ready?
ALTBAYS.
I just want to check the tape because you're not going to see the top of the screen.
Are you?
Do you want me to? Yeah.
Are you? You're good?
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's do this. Whew.
Okay.
Nice.
Drum roll.
Yeah. Some faith. Good. Whoa. Yo. Wow.
It was quite hard going. I haven't done it for a while, to be honest.
Oh God. Wow. Thanks, Base Pizzeria, for dinner.
Yeah, thanks for Base Pizzeria.
Delicious.
You can see it now.
That didn't come back up.
The whole piece came up just on a skewer.
She pulls the sword out. There's a slice of pizza on the end of it.
Oh my goodness.
Rachel. Well, do you wanna pass the sword back?
It's all good. I'll just put it down there.
I guess it goes quite close to your heart as well.
Yeah, it does. It does go quite close to your heart. I felt like, because it's so quiet in here as well, you could hear it, me going like...
Yeah.
I'm usually a bit more polished in practice, guys, but just a little bit out of practice.
Yeah, that was great. Lucky it's got handles, otherwise, like if you let go, it goes straight.
You'd be stuck.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you get people coming to you like and being, hey, we've been thinking about experimenting or learning? Like, is it a thing? Like couples? I don't know.
I thought you meant something. I thought you were like, people were like, can you give me any tips?
Yeah.
Well, in a way, because again,
gag reflex.
I was thinking about the gag reflex. You know, again, we're just talking about, like people who are open-minded and understand their partners well when they want to experiment? Like, do you get people curious about? Like,
I mean, I think that everyone, when they see it, is like, there's like a connection. But I'll tell you, you want to know? I'll tell you, I was actually thought about this earlier today, and I was like, should I tell this story on here? And then I was like, I think maybe this might be something to tell you at the end. So, like, I've never had an accident and nearly been killed by a sword. However, one time I was nearly killed by a penis.
there you go.
There we go. That's what we've been waiting for.
That's what we want, folks.
So no, this was I was probably in my mid-20s, and there was this guy that I used to see called Martin, who had like a really, really massive. And because this was like, I don't know, the 90s, noughties era, he had like a piercing through the head of his dick. And because it was like a massive dick, the bar that went through it was like this wide.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Well, maybe not that. Maybe
Like
I'm
the handles of the sword.
Yeah. So like it was this fucking wide bar, right? So me and Martin, we went home from the pub. Whoa. And I'm like, oh yeah, because he's a handsome young man. And
Handsome with a big dick.
Yeah.
Fuck,
So
Martin.
he's a
Come
unicorn.
on, man.
Was he kind as well?
No, he was awful. He was
not a
terrible.
unicorn then.
Carry on.
But
Good.
I was young and insecure, and I was like, I'm going to impress Martin. So I was like, all right then.
Yeah.
And what happened? And so I fucking stuck it like as far down my throat as I could, and then I was like, and he's like, "What's wrong?" And the bar had like gone in at an angle and then straightened, and the bar was stuck in my
your
throat. So I'm there going like, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And in the end, I had to stick my finger in and like dislodge it.
Wow. That is a story.
Imagine if I died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mum.
Your headstone thing text would be very interesting.
So yeah, I've actually never come that close to death with a sword, but only, yeah, don't try that at home.
No, I wasn't thinking about it.
young women of the world, beware.
Yeah. Remove any hardware before performing sexual acts.
Yeah.
This is great. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you shared that.
I remembered that earlier, and I was like, should I talk about that? I was like, yeah, it's a good story.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful story to end the show. We would love to have...
Beautiful?
Yeah, it's a great story. It's good. It's educational, you know. It brings awareness. So cool, Rachel. Thanks so much for opening up and telling so many cool, interesting aspects of your life and sharing.
Thank you so much for talking to me, guys. You guys are I wish we could just continue this
Same.
forever.
I guess one thing that is working very well with our show, we bring guests and then we invite them to come back as co-hosts. So we keep it fresh. You know, there's always new connections. A good way for us to grow and a good way for new people to connect as well.
Yeah.
So
that would be amazing.
You will be back.
I love it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You already told us that you are brewing and working on some new projects that you don't want to talk about yet, but are there things that you would like to share or things that you would like to tell people to look up and support you or just,
What am I doing at the moment? I mean, because I'm in my third year at uni, so like that's my main focus. But I haven't. Excuse me, I just had something in my throat.
Just
a sword.
I was just doing a sword burp. I've got a new circus show called The Dangerous Darlings, which we haven't even really properly launched it yet. But that's with a very, very good. Not just very good, very renowned tops, like I've lost all my words now, guys. A New Zealand circus performer called Laura Oakley, who is like, I think she's the best hula hooper in New Zealand, and she does all kinds of crazy, amazing stuff. So we have combined our forces into a super talent, super circus duo, and we're doing like a lot of like kind of like street shows and stuff at the moment. But we're going to make it, which are kind of quite family friendly, but we're going to make it into some kind of traveling thing, and we've hopefully got some really cool opportunities coming up with that this year. So yeah, that's kind of, but like once I finish my studies, I'll graduate at the end of this year. I will go into full force with that and with my secret projects.
Awesome. Let us know and then we'll bring you back to talk about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Elvisa, what a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me back on. It was really lovely to meet and chat with you,
It was
Rachel.
so cool to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I love coming back here, even if like it's not just on the podcast, but you know, Pretty Young is Coromandel's very lucky to have you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and for the beautiful people watching us at home, we are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all the audio platforms. You can listen to the show and share. It really helps when you share the content and tell your friends how cool we are. And I talked about the magazine before, so make sure to check out some fresh stories from the Coromandel and local artists, coromand.nz. We'll be back on Thursday with our dear friend Dion, who works with Kina. He's one of those crazy guys that go and get some Kina in the Coromandel, and it's one of those things, you love it or not, you love it or hate
Selfish
it.
gonads.
Selfish gonads. So we're gonna learn a little bit more about this world. Thank you so much, team. Appreciate it, JT.
Shout out also to our boy that's just turned 18. Maho, yeah.
Moho. Is it today?
It's today.
Today
Yes.
we're gonna send him a shout out. So Moho Iti. Tame Iti's grandson came to our show last week. Yeah, it was an incredible show. So
Happy birthday.
my brother, happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us and be the beautiful man that you are. Thanks so much, Bays Pizzeria, for that amazing kai. How was that pizza?
Yeah, it was great.
Good
Hi, Henry.
stuff, eh? Good stuff. Hi, Henry. Peninsula Motel, Fred, if you are coming to the Coromandel, make sure to check out Peninsula Motel. Comfortable, nice, accessible, right in town, and Barrier Air, always flying our amazing guests and making sure that they come here in only 25 minutes from Auckland. How cool. How was the flight?
It was amazing.
Yeah?
Honestly, like it was probably one of the most beautiful flight experiences I've ever had. Like it was like being in a dream.
Awesome. And so quick, hey? Just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant. Barrier Air, shout outs. Thank you so much, my friends. We'll be back on Thursday. Peace. Kakite.
Bye.